What's up, guys? Welcome back to Airbnb ABCs. I'm super happy to have you guys here as usual. I want to talk with you guys today about one of the biggest bugaboos about this business, and that is the seasonality of the short-term rental Airbnb VRBO business. If you guys have been in long-term rentals, maybe if you have short-term rentals now, or if you're looking to get into short-term rentals, one of the biggest differences between the long-term space and the short-term space, besides the cash flow, besides the money, that is the reason that a lot of people get into the short-term space, is this seasonality of things. And this makes a lot of sense because if you're looking at long-term rentals, that's just where people live. They live there, all the months of the year until they move on to another place and you move another tenant in. Whereas with short-term rentals, people are only staying there for a few days. They're coming there on vacation. And so it just goes to make a lot of sense that during the peak vacation seasons that you have, depending on what market you're in, that you're going to have up months and down months. And that's why some vacation rentals can make $12,000 one month and they might make $4,000 or $5,000 the next month. But over the course of the entire year, you're going to end up probably making more than your long-term rentals. You don't want to get blindsided by the slower spots in your calendar. And right now, I've kind of actually fallen behind the ball a little bit in the smokies market because I was so focused on January and February that I'm a little bit behind on May. But you need to know when and why your slow spots are. And that's going to vary depending on what market that you're in. At the beach markets, it's going to be the wintertime. This is, it's not surprising at all that that would be the case. People aren't going to the beach to travel for vacation in the wintertime because it's cold, the water's cold, it's windy, and you just don't want to be on the beach. During those times, though, you are likely to be able to pick up a snowbird or something, but that sort of falls under the medium term, maybe long term if you're renting, for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, but it's probably not going to bring in the revenue that short-term rentals parts of the season are, and so you need to get prepared for those in advance and start looking at them while you're still in your summer season. For me, we are in the Smoky Mountains entirely, and I would assume that this is probably pretty standard amongst mountain markets because there are a lot of different great seasons in the mountain markets. For us, our slow spots are the January, February months, the month of May, which is actually the slowest month in the Smoky Mountains region. And I would love to hear from folks in other parts like maybe Blue Ridge or Big Bear that if these correspond to your markets as well, because I'm only in the Smokies and I don't know about that. But then there's also September, and there is reasons for each one of these. Each one of these slow seasons in any of these markets are either coming before or after something major, or there is just something going on as to why they are just not very busy. If you look at the Smoky Mountains, we have the January and February slowdown. Now, this comes right after all of the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. People have spent all of their money traveling for the holidays, or they've spent all their money on Christmas presents, and they're just done. They need to get back to work, back into the swing of things after being in that kind of like holiday lull for 6, 8 weeks, however long it is that you get to kind of relax for. And then it's also coming before spring break. So if folks are planning a spring break trip, they are probably keeping some funds aside for that. And so January and February are just slower parts of the season. What's funny about January and February in the Smokies is that you still get folks that are coming down there specifically for those months because they like the lower crowds. They might like the cabin in the woods in the winter type of atmosphere that there is, and obviously the lower prices. The second slow spot in the Smokies, and that's what we are getting into now, is the very end of April and the entire month of May. There are really three kind of things going on here with the month of May. For one, it's after spring break. So again, people have spent their spring break travel money on their spring break trips to wherever it is that they're going. And the Smokies has a very good spring break crowd. It's probably not as strong as the beach spring break crowd, but it's still there, and you can usually fill your entire calendar. It is before summer vacation. So if folks have already planned their summer vacation, they've spent that money, and they're getting ready to go do that, you're not going to probably travel in the month of May. And again, Smokies summer vacation, awesome. That is where you are going to make a tremendous amount of money, probably going to be your highest couple months of the year. But in addition to that, the schools are getting out in the month of May. Things are wrapping up. There is mandatory state testing, and so there's not a lot of flexibility for people who might even want to come down and enjoy that month in the lower rates and the lower crowds. And May is a beautiful month in the Smokies. They just cannot do that because of these things that they are obligated to do. September is the last kind of really, continuously slow month. And if you guys, I'm sure you can see the pattern here. So after summer vacation, they've already blown all of their summer vacation travel money. School is getting back in, although it's a little easier to take kids out of school for the beginning of the school year. And it's before the fall leaves kick off in October, November, and then back to the holidays in December. Rinse and repeat. So once you guys know where these are in your schedule and why they happen, you can try to strategize to fill them. Now, obviously, the lower prices and lower minimum stays are going to be able to fill these out more. Price sells things. That's, at the end of the day, price is going to sell these things. But the real secret to avoiding these slow spots and losing your mind and getting these places booked so that you continue to make money is that you need to get ahead of these times consistently. You want to start pricing and you're adjusting your minimum stays at least 3 months out so that you can grab those early bookings, those folks that know about that time of the year and they're able to, book early, get that stuff booked up for you. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to show you how you can adjust your prices 3 months out and adjust your minimum stays without wrecking the rest of your calendar, so you're not selling your spring break time, your summer vacation time, and your holiday time at incredibly low rates. So I've got you guys here in my Pricelabs account, and this is a pricing tool that I use. I recommend. There are a lot of them out there, but Pricelabs seems to be the most popular. It's always worked well for me, and it's extremely easy to use. And what I'm going to show you guys is how you can adjust these for each individual season and how you can even put overrides so that you are able to just manipulate things without affecting other things. What we're going to be looking at here is Whispering Woods, and this is a property that I did not get ahead of quick enough in order to make sure that it's completely booked. There is a good chance that for May we're going to see a lot of blanks for this one, but the good news is that our other two that are also highly desirable properties are going to make up for the rest of it, but we're going to look here at our seasonal profile. And it is super important that you guys use seasonal profiles to adjust your pricing, because if you don't, you only manipulate your base price or your minimum and your maximum, it will do that for your entire calendar, affecting your summer rates when you really just want to lower your minimums for your April, May, or your September, or your January, February, or if you're in the beach market, your winter market. So we are going to go into my seasonal profile and take a look at what that entails. What you'll see here is several different lines, and you can name these whatever you want. You can put whatever dates on them you want, whatever prices on that you want. If you guys have noticed with this, I don't typically use minimums or maximum prices for the most part. I kind of trust this software to price this where it needs to be based on my base price, with the only exception being I must have put a minimum price in of 100 during January and February for whatever reason, but there's, I've rented for less than that if I needed to. So what you do is you go in here and you just set your dates. For example, my January, February, I have between January 1st and March 14th. And I know that that's kind of stupid that it goes into March, but I found that for pricing for the beginning of March is about where it needs to be for January and February. And so I just rolled that forward into the first half of March. For spring break, I have it from March 15th, which is, the day after March 14th, to April 22nd, and then from April 22nd or 23rd to May 23rd, that's when I have that May pricing. And again, at the end of April, it's just sort of the same pricing, the same type of environment as the rest of May, because you're getting into that part of the year. And so I just go ahead and leave it at that. Now, after May 23rd, you get into Memorial Day weekend and in the start of the summer travel season. So I start my rest of year, which is what I have this named here. It's probably from when I first started making these seasonal profiles, and I only had maybe a couple of them in here. And as you go along in your short-term rental investing career, you're going to start fine-tuning things more and more and more and get things broken down into even smaller spaces to optimize your occupancy and optimize your revenue. So that will go on until July 31st, in which case we get into the August, September part of the year. And I found that August is also a little bit slower than June or July. And so I go ahead and lump that in with my September months. And then we get into the fall holidays. And this, with I have this being set a little bit lower than my summer prices by $10, I will always go in here, make sure that what is going on in the real world, what is going on in my calendar, reflects what is going on with the money, and then I will make adjustments based on that. I always highly recommend that you all set up a seasonal profile and so that you can control individual portions of the calendar. The second thing that I wanted to show you guys is these overrides. You can put overrides in Pricelabs on your on specific dates. You can put it on several dates. And what I have done for this for the month of May is I've reduced all of my minimum stays to 2. And that is just going to make it easier for folks to book. My normal minimum stays are 3 nights during the week and during the weekends until you get within 2 weeks of the booking date. Then it goes down to 2 on the weekdays, 3 on the weekends. With the way that I want to try to get bookings for May, I've basically just kind of reduced that to the minimum amount that I would ever book, which is 2 nights on any of my properties. Getting ahead in those slow spots is not only a great way to maximize the revenue that you're gonna get out of those lower portions of the year, it also helps you try to not lose your mind, like I am trying to get the rest of May booked up for the property that we just looked at. It's also a great time for you and people that you know and your guests to go down and visit the places because rates are typically lower, it's less crowded, there's less traffic, and usually, in like May and September for the Smokies, there's still great months, and it's just a awesome time to visit that particular area. So guys, click on these links that are on the screen. They're going to tell you guys all about all of the Airbnb properties that we own. They have tours in there. They're going to tell you how we manage them from afar and all the trials and tribulations of running an Airbnb VRBO short-term rental business. If it's helped you out today, guys, hit the like button, subscribe down below, and I will see you on the next one.